Hi, this is a video for Integrated 2. As you guys know, I've been having some difficulty getting Google Meet to upload in a reasonable amount of time, but I do need to be getting some instruction up. And so instead of staying frustrated, I'm trying some different things, and one of them is recording videos and posting them on YouTube and sending you guys the link. This way I could actually get some things up. So today we're going to be talking about how to build strong responses and insightful analyses using what's called the RICE method. So this is going to be a very formal approach to writing. As you guys know, all of our writing, our academic writing, does follow a set pattern called the RICE method, and whether you've had me for English or whether you've had Miss Lowry for English, we are all working on the same things. And so today I want to review this idea and really help you build much better responses. You're going to be doing a lot of short responses for the Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, and you really do need to be following this pattern while you're writing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the RICE method, do this review, and talk a little bit about what the expectations are. We're then going to do our first piece of writing together for the Part-Time Indian, which is chapters 1 through 5, notes and analysis, and we're actually going to be applying these strategies. We'll do a few of the responses together, and then I'm going to ask you to finish the other responses on your own. So, well, here we go. Let's take it away. So our goal is to learn how to build strong responses and insightful analyses using what's called the RICE method. So the RICE part, it's not just for our illustrious PE teacher whom we all love. Each of those does stand for something, and this will help you remember all of the steps. So what is our goal with this? Our goal is knowing that when I'm asking you, or when one of your teachers is asking you to do a short response or even a longer response, we're not looking for just one sentence answers. We're not just looking for your opinion on something without any evidence to back it up. We are looking for you to build good, solid academic responses and show some insight. Show some insight. Show that you're thinking beyond just the surface of the question and thinking beyond just the surface of the text and doing some analysis, some analyzing, some good critical thinking skills, and to show that thinking in your writing. So let's look at this part right here. There's 3 questions that I'm going to have you ask as you get to the end of each of your short responses. So the 3 questions that you're going to ask yourself, because you're including evidence in all of these using a quote, what does your quote mean in the context of your main point, or in light of your main point? So you have a main point. You're going to include some evidence. Your evidence needs to prove your main point. And so you're going to ask yourself, what does the quote mean in context of my main point? How does it show my main point? And therefore, so after your reader has read your answer to a prompt and read your evidence, what are they supposed to understand? What is the therefore that they're supposed to walk away with? So let's take a step back and look at what each of the letters for the RICE method mean so that we can get ready to start practicing this. So the first letter is R. R is rephrase the question. We've been practicing this for a really long time. Most of you are doing really, really well in making sure that you don't start any of your responses with because, or I think, or yes, or no. All of those are terrible ways to start responses. So we're going to be rephrasing your prompt and oftentimes adding additional words to your prompt to really turn it into a good, solid, what's called a topic sentence. A topic sentence is what we call the lead-in sentence for a paragraph or shorter pieces of writing. A thesis is your main idea for your longer pieces of writing. So we are going to be using both topic sentences and theses in our writing for your English class. Your rephrasing of the prompt, and you can also have your answer to the actual question in there as well. And we'll look at some samples of how you can pull that off too. So R is rephrase the question. I is introduce the quote. So I've said a few times now that you are going to need to include evidence in your writing. Your evidence is going to come in the form of quotes. And we will be practicing, how do you quote things properly? How do you use the correct punctuation? How much of a quote should you take? Because those are all small, tricky skills that everybody needs to learn how to do well. But you can't just drop in a quote, provide an answer, and then throw in a quote, slap your reader upside the head and say, yep, here it is. Here's some evidence. No, you need to introduce it. You need a lead-in, a launching pad, so that your reader is prepared for reading your quote. This could be paraphrasing what's going on in a scene. So like in the case of Part-Time Indian, you could be giving a little bit of an introduction as far as what's going on in the scene with, say, Junior and Rowdy as you're getting ready to lead into that quote. Or what is a little bit of background that your reader might need to be able to understand where you're coming from with the quote. And oftentimes this is just paraphrasing information. It is setting the stage. So R, rephrase the question. I, introduce your quote. C in the RICE method is cite your evidence. And we're going to use two different forms of citing. Citing as in putting your quote in. This is citing your information. So this is going to be quotes and paraphrasing that you are putting in as your evidence. And then we're also going to be doing citing as in citing our sources. So like putting in in-text citations, creating a citations page, and in-text, I already said in-text citations. So we have had that come up on our L to J. You guys know what citation is. That's that reference back to the source or the author. In the case of Part-Time Indian, our information is really just going to be coming from one book. And so you are going to be citing things by page number in parentheses like this after your quote, and I'll show you how to do that. On some of our other writing, we're going to be pulling in information from different sources, in which case you're going to be citing your information from different sources, and it's going to look a little bit different. And again, I'll teach you how to do that. So R, rephrase the prompt. I, introduce your evidence, introduce your quote. C, actually cite your evidence. And finally, E, which is explain. You cannot end a paragraph on a quote. You can't end a piece of writing on a quote. You can't end your answer on a quote. You need to finish up by elaborating and explaining, which is what those E's are standing for, elaborate and explain. So this is your way to wind it all together. You've rephrased the question and added an answer. You have introduced some evidence, and then you've provided the evidence, and now you need to loop all the way around and explain how your evidence is supporting or proving your main point. And so our job in working with Part-Time Indian is to learn how to do this really well so that you start getting more fluid and more confident in your writing. So there we go. There's your refresh or introduction into the RICE method. We're now going to actually practice it on our writing. And we'll do a lot of it with Part-Time Indian. Your very first one will be the notes and analysis for chapters 1 through 5. We'll do several questions together, and then I'm going to have you practice on a few. All right, I miss you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.